Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to the Christmas crochet tutorial series. We've had already one episode where I taught you how to make these adorable candy canes. And in today's episode, we're making crochet advent wreaths. They really take 2 minutes to make. And without further ado, let's get to it. For our advent wreaths, we will need 2 colors of macrame type of yarn. I'm using this yarn from Casasol. I got it at Noriki store in Barcelona. It's called Cotton Air 2.5 millimeters. I'm using a dark green and a white. And we will need also a 10 millimeter crochet hook. Let's start with making a magic circle. I know that for some of you this is the tricky part where you sometimes give up on crocheting, but trust me, it's going to be easier than it seems. We're going to put the short strand of our yarn on our left hand, so that in the palm of the hand you've got the shorter strand and the long strand that goes into the ball of yarn is in the back of the hand. We need a little longer strand in the front, just not like this, a little longer, all right? Then we're going to grab it and make a little gun shape, and then the long strand from behind goes like this over the gun to make a cross, like so. Once you've got the cross, we grab our hook and we go under the top first arm of the cross, grab the second one, and pull through. Next step, and here's where people get confused, but it's actually easier than it seems, is we need to do a 360. So we just turn our hook 360, like that. Now I've got something like this, and the last step is to pull the long strand of yarn. So this one, this is what goes into the ball of yarn. The long strand of yarn, we need to pull it through that twist, like this. And then we just try to tighten it. And this is our magic circle done, okay? We've got this loop on the hook a little long, so we wanna pull the long strand a bit to make it smaller. This loop should fit around the hook. And the rest that we've got is a magic circle here, okay? It has this short strand that makes it magical. Let's test if it's magical. If you pull the short strand, it should get smaller. You see, mine is getting smaller, and then if you pull it from this side, it can get also bigger. We want it around this size, but it can be bigger or smaller depending on what kind of advent wreath you want. All right, so we want to hold our magic circles in a way that the side where there's the magic is where we're gonna work. So this should be on the left and the empty side should be on the right. We cannot lose the magic. The thing about magic circles is that these 2 strands need to be always together so that we can pull it and then get it smaller or bigger whenever we want. So I would just do this, wrap the short strand around the circle a few times, just so that you make sure that you treat them both as one. And now that we're prepared, what we need to do to make the advent wreath is single crochets. So we're going to place our hook inside the circle, grab the long strand of yarn and pull it out of the circle. And then we've got 2 loops on the hook. Now we need to yarn over and pull that yarn through these 2 loops. So we just pull it through both. Okay, let's do that a few more times. The hook goes inside the circle. We take the long strand of yarn and pull it out of the circle. And then we've got 2 loops on the hook. Then we need to yarn over and pull that yarn through both of the loops. Okay, let's do one more. We go inside the circle, take the yarn, pull it out of the circle. Once you've got 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both of them. And here we just need to follow along and do single crochets around the whole circle until we get to here. Always keeping 2 strands together of the short strand and the circle. Once you get more of the single crochets together, you can put them, like squeeze them all together so that they're very close to each other. Okay, I've done some more and I feel that they're getting a little bit wobbly. So now's the time to squeeze them again, right? We hold the circle and we just push with our fingers the stitches backwards on the circle. And you see how they even out? All of a sudden they're a really nice even circle. So I've got a little bit more to do and I'll catch up with you once I get here. Alrighty, my circle is done. And the last thing to do here to close the circle is that we do a slip stitch in the first stitch here. So we go under the first, how I call it, V, right? Like those two strands that make up a V on top. And then we take the long strand of yarn, pull it out of the V and pull it out of the loop on a hook. And then we want to pull that to get this extra space here, because that's what we're going to hang our Advent wreath on. So then the wreath part is done. We can already cut the long strand. And now to weave in the ends, we're going to make a little knot of these two. Just a simple one knot. And that makes this part stay in place. And then these two strands we need to hide under these stitches. So, and I'll just go like under one stitch, take the strand and pull it through like so, and continue through one or two, and then from this side also through like more or less two, and then we can already cut these as well. Alright, and now for the bow, I like to cut a strand that is longer than I need. I for sure don't need 30 centimeters, but I just cut 30 to be sure that my bow is rather too long than too short. And then I'm going to just pull that new color through one of the stitches, like just under one of the stitches of the wreath, more or less in the middle. And I'm just going to make a bow classy. You for sure all know how to do that. If your bow is not so even, not so nice, then you can always just hold the knot and try to make these parts smaller. Try to move them around so that you have the legs of the bow in the middle. And then your Advent wreath is done. So that's it. We've got our Advent wreaths done. And the candy canes from the previous episode, if you haven't done them yet, then I would highly recommend you to go back and check that one too. And in the next episode, we're going to make crochet gingerbread cookies. So stay tuned, give me a subscribe, and then you'll make sure to not miss that one. And if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Daria and I'm a full-time crochet teacher at my studio in Barcelona. I do in-person crochet club at my studio, as well as crochet and knitting patterns and tutorials here on YouTube and on my website. I'll see you in the next one.